Dakota Johnson asked me this. I ask everybody.
Can you ask her
Yeah.
if she would, marry me?
You have a significant other.
I know, but this is fantasy.
Fantasy.
Land.
Do you like Dakota? You're a fan?
Huh?
You're a fan of her work?
I love her.
She's great.
I talked to her dad, but
Yeah,
it wasn't
that was a good
appropriate
one.
for me to
No.
hey, could I get the number?
I could make this magic happen for you. I can connect
Anne
you guys.
Hathaway and Dakota Johnson.
Those are yours? Okay.
But Hathaway's married, and I have somebody, but for Dakota, I'd rethink a lot of things. Maybe there's too big an age gap. Doesn't necessarily
make
stop
it work.
me.
It's okay. She asked me this. Let's see if your crush remains after you hear this question.
Prepare your ears, humans. Happy, sad, confused begins now.
Hey guys, today on Happy, Sad, Confused, we've got Marc Maron, the podcast extraordinaire, the brilliant comedian, actor, he does it all, back on the podcast for a very fun, unique conversation. Hey guys, I'm Josh. Welcome to another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. This is such a cool one. I love Marc Maron. If you catch me on a jog through New York, walking the streets of New York, chances are I'm probably listening to WTF. Probably my favorite podcast, and has been for many, many years. Marc is ending the show. So this was an opportunity to talk to Marc about the podcast, comedy, and so much more. More on that in a second. First, let me just mention, as always, please check out our Patreon if you love what I do, if you want early access and merch and all the cool stuff, bonus materials, support us over there because it really helps us do stuff over here. Patreon.com/happysadconfused. No events to mention because we're kind of like in the middle of stuff right now, but I'm doing a lot and there's more to come. So stay tuned for more live events that are coming up in the Happy, Sad, Confused universe in New York, LA, maybe other places. Stay tuned. Okay, a little more on Marc before we dive into the conversation. First of all, some context. Maybe this is TMI, but I mentioned it to him. I wouldn't mention this to most people, but I felt like I had to with Marc. I did this conversation the day after, drumroll, hernia surgery. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to hear about people's hernia surgery, but I'm just going to tell you because I said it to Marc. I felt like Marc is such an open and honest conversationalist. I had to own up to it. So I was on some meds. Hopefully, I was still coherent and with it enough for this conversation. In retrospect, by the way, I can't believe I did this the day after because it's now been a little time and I have been in a lot of pain. To be quite frank, since the surgery. That day, though, I think he caught me in the day where my strong meds were still working and I wasn't quite feeling it yet. But in retrospect, I don't know how I did this one. This is true heroism. Not really. Okay, so that's one piece of context. The other is, like I said, I just want to give context to where Marc is right now. Marc recently announced the end of WTF, which is his podcast that really is the mother of all of what I do and so many people do. I'm not sure if I'd do what I do without Marc. He certainly has been an influence on me. We have different styles, different ways we do it, but so much of my inspiration from him has been how he made the interview format and the podcast format his own. So certainly I've tried to chart my own path. Many have, but I have such admiration for what he does. Also, by the way, take out the podcasting. Brilliant comedian, of course. His new special on HBO Max is Panicked. Check it out. It's really great. He's also super active in film. Bad Guys 2 is out in theaters. He's got a doc that's about him that I've checked out called Are We Good? If you've listened to his podcast, you know that sentence means a lot. I think that's coming in October. Put that on your list. In Memoriam, which I'm really psyched to see. I think we briefly talk about here. The Springsteen movie, Deliver Me From Nowhere, he's in. I mean, this dude could just do one lane, but he can do acting, comedy, podcasting, and so much more. So a lot of respect for him. One of the great conversationalists, and I'm just so privileged that he came back on the podcast. Last time we did one of these, it was live in front of an audience, and that had its own vibe. But yeah, this is one of the ones I can't believe I know Marc Maron and that he knows and respects me enough to do the podcast a few times. It means a lot, truly. So, congrats to Marc Maron on an amazing run, WTF, and enjoy this conversation about that and a great many other things. Here's me and Marc Maron.
Marc Maron, should we do this?
Let's do it.
I mean, we're here.
Yeah.
You came to this building. I came to this building. We're squatting in someone's editing booth, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a nice shot. You know, it's like, where are they at a theater? It's like Siskel and Ebert.
That's right.
Yeah,
what did you think of Ravenous? We were just talking about obscure movies.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Full disclosure, since I feel like I can talk, I wouldn't bring this up with anybody else except that you are so unfiltered and say everything that's on your mind. I had hernia surgery yesterday and I'm on serious medication right now, Mark.
That's good. It's good for you. It'll loosen you up. You'll feel relaxed. Not as much at stake. It'll ease some of the neurotic kind of like what next moments you'll have.
Yeah. So if you see me like clutch my midsection halfway through, that's what's going on.
Well, then you should be on more medicine.
Exactly.
If you're going to have pain.
Bring on the oxy.
Yeah.
You have a lot going on, my friend. It's good to see you. Congratulations on Panicked. The doc, hopefully people will see soon. Bad Guys 2. We're out of time. We're out of time.
That's it. We did it.
Can we start with Comic-Con? We were talking about
Yeah.
So I do Comic-Con every year because I'm a big old nerd. No surprise to anybody.
Yeah.
What's the Marc Maron plunged into nerddom experience going to San Diego Comic-Con for Bad Guys 2?
Well, I don't know that I ever would find myself there in any other situation, but you know, the movie flew us down there for the day. You know, to San Diego, which was good. It seemed like a short jaunt, but I've made that drive to San Diego from LA. It's supposed to be about, 2 hours or a little under. It's always 4 hours, and you can't get in and out.
Right.
So they flew us in, and I had a sense of what it would be, and it sort of lived up to that in terms of what I saw of it. I didn't walk around and take in all the different, booths or whatever they have there. There was not as many costumes as I thought there would be. But for me, doing that panel in, what is it,
Hall H?
Hall H was a
Biggest
big
one.
deal, I guess, and I was not really informed that it was a big deal, but it was like 5,000 people in there.
Yeah.
And it was me and Craig Robinson, Anthony Ramos, and Danielle, and Maria.
Awkwafina, Rockwell, of course.
And Rockwell, right, and Natasha. And it was fine. It's just, I find that, in my experience of seeing those from afar for a few minutes, that just talking, with that many people in front of 5,000 people, like it can be flat, and I was like, someone's got to punch this up. So I wanted to get some laughs because it's my innate instinct, and I think it worked out okay. I don't know; those things happen in a vacuum. I didn't see any footage from it. I don't know, but it seemed to do okay in the room. It becomes very difficult after a certain point to continue to talk about your character in an animated movie.
For 45 minutes, like how much?
Like how many, interviews can you do about like, what does a snake really feel? Or what, if you were going to be another animal, like this stretch for interviews to figure out, how to engage an actor around doing a voice.
No, you've been on the other side too. You haven't had to really probably interview folks doing that too much. But yeah, there's like a 6-minute cap on what you can talk about.
About animated?
Film. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy. It's like, it's...
It's like, what were you like in the booth? What were you wearing?
That's it. Tell us about efforts. Ooh, ah, and then, but I did run into some old friends, which is always good. I saw Eugene Merman, from the Bob's Burgers crew. I've known forever. John Benjamin, and I ran into. Oh, come on, dude. My brain.
I'm the one that had surgery.
Yeah. I'm just getting old.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll say. I do appreciate that in an animated film panel, you and Sam were able to work in references to Deliverance and the Deer Hunter for the children in the audience. Did anybody from Universal say, like, maybe next time we don't need to go to 70s R-rated?
No, and like after I dropped my first couple of fucks, I realized like there's a lot of kids in here.
Right.
And I kind of reeled that in. I think the best moment was where Kevin McCarthy was like, what other DreamWorks characters would you like to see your characters engaged in? And he got to me and I said, I'm Googling DreamWorks movies. I really didn't know.
Shrek? You're not a Shrekophile? I would have pegged you for...
I don't watch any animated.
No, I get it.
I don't. I really don't. My girlfriend got me into the Japanese guy.
Right.
What's
Miyazaki.
his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was I get it. I just have and I can take it in. I like a good story, but I just get bored really. But I think Bad Guys 2 is pretty, exciting.
How do you reconcile, look, you always talk about, for those of that listen to the podcast, listen to your stand-up, like not being everybody's cup of tea. You're kind of like, and you've kind of reconciled that. And yet here we are talking 2025, and you're in these giant movies. You're in Bad Guys 2. You were in Joker a few years back. Like, for good or for bad, Mark, I'm sorry to break it to you. You have the biggest podcast on the planet, arguably, or top whatever.
Reputationally, yes.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Except that you are a main part of pop culture. Can you take that in?
I don't know what pop culture is anymore. It all seems very fragmented, and I don't quite see that I am necessarily a big part of pop culture. I do feel like I have found a place in it through persistence and talent. But I don't know. My brain still always compares me to, like, why am I not the biggest thing in the world? Why does that guy get to fill arenas? But ultimately, it's not. I don't. If I really think about doing those things, I don't want it.
Right.
But it is a way to constantly not feel good about myself, which seems to be, kind of a mode that I'm, unfortunately, I don't think comfortable with, but I live in that more than I want to. So I think in terms of reconciling, it's acknowledging that part of me as not being good, and sort of have a certain amount of pride and gratitude for where I'm at and the world that I've created for myself. So that's the reconciliation.
Well, it is. I mean, folks haven't seen the doc yet. It sounds like it's going to be coming hopefully sooner rather than later. But I found a really telling moment in this doc about you called "Are We Good?" where you're like talking to your dad and you're like, "I'm never going to win awards, Dad."
Yeah.
And it's again getting at this thing like, why do you need awards, Mark?
Well, that's an interesting thing because there is an element of, like everybody, if you're in this business, right, and you're putting out things that you want people to like or you want people to engage with. And, this idea that it's like, do it for yourself. It's like, all right, that's all well and good, but I'm doing it for myself, but I'm putting it out there for other people. And, so the idea that like that shouldn't matter is just, okay, but good luck with that.
You have to have a real, like, that's a different personality trait that I don't share either. You're right. That can just be so self-validating that's like,
I'm better at it. I'm getting better at that. Like I can give but self-validation, even if you have parents that, weren't, giving you what you thought you needed in terms of that, and, whatever that hole is, that there is a sort of moment, if you've had to kind of self-parent your whole life, in the void, where you can actually be like, I'm pretty, I did a good job with that, right? And also, in terms of awards and stuff, look, no matter how many people tell me, like, it's not a meritocracy, and even if you learn the sort of what really happens with awards voting as an awards voter and who's voting and what they're voting for, it's a lot of times it's like, oh, I know that guy. It's got nothing to do with it. I get it. But the Peabody thing is real. That, and in terms of like
seeing who's won it, who hasn't.
Well, it was just like it's not even a no-brainer. It deserved it, at a different time.
Yeah.
But then you kind of break that down, and you're like, it's probably one person, or at that time I thought it might have been the language. Who the hell knows? But
right.
It doesn't matter to anybody. No, but I think it deserved it, right?
Yeah.
The other stuff, the politics of Emmys, Oscars, Grammys, whatever, and the voting, public of those things, I get that that's not a fair thing, and it's a, for whatever reason, people win that shouldn't.
Yeah, you look at the history of the Oscars. This is the old conversation. The ones that win aren't the greatest films.
That's right.
Obviously.
But the Peabody, had a certain amount of integrity,
right?
And we did something within its purview.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe you'll get a Kennedy Center honor or a Melania Trump honor now, whatever they call it.
Yeah, then you got to wrestle with like, I'm not doing that. But no, it's really about validation, sadly, and I try to kind of reel that in. Like I'm in Stick with Owen, and I think it's a good show in the sense that the humanity of it is great.
Yeah.
And I like working with Owen. But you never know with these things. But people, I can tell when people come up to me like, they like it, and a lot of them like me in it. And however I feel about it is not important in that moment where you're like, oh, okay, well then it's doing something.
Do you ever think about, look, I mean, like, in the early days of the podcast, there was like that section where you were kind of always talking, SNL came up all the time.
Yeah.
You had to reconcile the stuff with Warren, and you kind of, seems like you got through that. But like, if you had gotten SNL, if you got a Weekend Update, you wouldn't have this life. That's the irony, is like, it came, as you often say, out of desperation, WTF. And that in turn ignited the stand-up career.
Right.
So, I don't know. Everything does happen for a reason, I guess.
Well, I think about that particular little, what do you call that? It's a adage.
Right. The everything happens for a reason one. Mm-hmm.
In order to maintain your sanity, you kind of have to look at things like that.
Right. Or else, madness
I mean,
lies.
it's all, yeah. I mean, that's sort of a way of contextualizing
failure.
Totally.
It's true. What we tell ourselves as we go to bed.
Sure.
Well, didn't get it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
That you kind of stretch that, with cancer, and like you lose a hand. Sure, like you learn how to work your left hand better, but who needed that lesson?
Right.
Yeah.
That's fair. Let's give some love to the new HBO special, Panicked. Fantastic work. I do think, and I think
you watched it?
I did.
Oh, good.
I enjoyed it very much. From Bleak to Dark, and this, I feel like, and I think you would agree with this. This is the best work of your career. Like you're locked in.
Thank you. I am locked in. It was kind of interesting because I noticed it. There was. Well, I think From Bleak to Dark set me up for, for being grounded in some of the stuff I was doing.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of choices in this special that were only possible because of how long I've been doing it, my experience in it, in comedy, and making decisions around how to present things that, I couldn't have done any other time. But in terms of, what'd you say? Focus, grounded. What was it? Yeah, I'm really in it. What did you just say?
I don't know.
Yeah.
The surgery is effective.
But well, I did notice, obviously I've been working this material for 1.5 years, 2 years, and that crunch process of the few weeks before to get it down from an hour and a half, hour 45 to 73. I had 73 in my head because Bleak to Dark was 73, and they get kind of weird about this. They don't even want you really. I think most people are doing like 34-minute specials, and it's like that's not even the job.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the job. It's like that's like a middle set.
Right.
And I come from the world of we do an hour. That's what comedians do.
Yes.
And HBO, who has been great, always great to me to work with, because I'm talking to my manager, they're pretty set on the hour. I'm like, well, I kind of need 73. And I had that number because they gave that to me in Bleak to Dark.
Yeah.
And I'm working from 1.5 hours. So a couple of things happened. I settled on an outfit long before the special. Because that's a mistake I've made over and over again. I buy the clothes the week before, and I'm like, this looks cool. And then I watch it, and I'm like, what the hell did I do that? What's that vest? I never wore that again. Or I'll wear just I'm just going to be comfortable, and I wear this shitty flannel shirt that I wear all the time, and it doesn't look good on camera. And then on Bleak to Dark, we had a stylist, and he put me in a purple leather thing, which looked good, but whatever. But I walked into this outfit, and I wore it on the road for months. And there was this ongoing problem with the shirt because it was a little snug, and when I sat down, because of the fabric, it would open up and show my stomach. No. But I wanted to wear the shirt, and somehow or another, I let go of that because I'm like, well, I'll just try to be aware of it when I'm sitting. But who the fuck wants that during the special? But I was gonna wear it, and some kind of weird kind of miracle, I get to the BAM Harvey where we shot it, and they have a wardrobe person who works for the theater. She's like, I can fix that. And we'll put hidden snaps in between the buttons. I'm like, oh my God, now it's going to work out. It's all hinging on the shirt.
I don't know if the comedy will work at all, but I look okay.
It adds to it. You don't know how my brain works. It's like it's going to lock into something Like this morning, I'm going to CBS, and somehow I'm in the car coming to CBS with the one pair of khaki pants, which I hardly ever wear, that I bought for TV and stuff. I'm driving in the car and there's a big old wet spot on my pants. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Is that like, I had this creatine drink and I think, is that going to come out? So now I'm dumping water on the pants in the car to CBS and I got to be on camera in 40 minutes. That's the kind of shit
What
that
will Gayle King think of my problems?
Well, but no, it's just my brain is like, why does this happen to me? Do other people deal with this? Clooney doesn't deal with this. So like I can lock into that stuff as a way of grounding myself. Anxiety. Like it's a way, it's almost a way of getting into the present. Like it's not on purpose, but it does function that way. It'll get you out of your head if you're sitting there wondering if your pants look like you peed in them.
Right. Well, also by then you're so locked into your set to
But it was all different. About. There was something about the vibe of this one of Panic that had never happened before. I was completely grounded and and not even focused, but totally comfortable with what I had to do. And I've done it many times before, but this was the only time where I didn't let my brain do this sort of like, I don't know if this is going to work out. I made very specific decisions around presenting certain pieces of material. And some of that material is delicate. It's weird, if you really think about this special, how much is in it. There's a lot in there, dude. And I'm just seeing what people come out of, like, oh, I really like this bit. And like, there are bits in there that are gnarly. Yeah. But I pull them off. But there's a little bit of something for everybody, but they're gonna go through some things. But the other thing is that the theater, I thought the production designer, there was a vision to it, and it was similar to Bleak to Dark. The same guy did it, Mark Janowitz. But I got obsessed with the Harvey Theater for a very specific reason, and I can't tell you why, but we did it. Like, we were going to do it at Town Hall again, but I didn't. It's too wide. Yeah. It's a short stage, and there are too many people. So I'm like, there's got to be another venue in New York, 850, 900 seats. And we look at the BAM Harvey, and we go over there, and that back wall, that's the back wall in the special. That is the back wall of the theater. I said, there's a history there. It looks like a Rothko painting. Yeah. And I'm like, that has to be all of it. That back wall has to happen. And Mark Janowitz, the production designer, he's looking at it, he knows the set, and he says, I'm thinking Kintsugi. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. And I look it up, and it's a Japanese art. It's an ancient art of restoring ceramics with gold. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
It kind of recreates the object into a new form through putting it back together. And they use gold to do the cracks. Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever. Yeah, that sounds great. So the whole idea of doing it in a theater that's over 100 years old, that has not been restored but maintained as a ruin almost. Yeah, yeah. Having that back wall that has a whole history of use, and then him like pulling it together with these Kintsugi lines, which are there. Whether or not people know this is the nature of production design. Is that the poetics of it were there, and then at the end when I'm doing the bit about trauma, they fade up those Kintsugi lines onto the wall. So it all kind of fit as a theatrical piece. So everything was kind of pretty solid.
Do you have a vision? Look, we're going to get to WTF and that chapter closing. Yeah. Obviously, stand-up is continuing. Stand-up will always be.
I guess, I never know if I'm going to pull another one out.
You say that.
I know I do, but it's true in the moment. When I say it, I mean it.
Do you have a model in your head? Look, you've talked to the comedians coming up, you've talked to the legends at the end of the line of like what a later act, not literally the act, but the later act of a comedian's career looks like. Who are the models for you of like being vital and true into your 60s and 70s and even beyond if you want?
I don't know, man, because it all hinges on my ability to be moved to do it. Yeah, I'm not, I don't have a system or a way of working. I'm not like Mulaney. I'm not going to sit there and write down jokes and have the discipline to, just try jokes. Like, I have to be moved to do it. And my price point and my, cultural relevance on some level as a stand-up is at its own level. I do what I do, and I have people that enjoy what I do. but the world is not waiting for another special, and there's not this machine around me that is like, you got to get out there. We've got a lot of mouths to feed here.
Right.
So it all hinges on what my creativity will kind of reveal to me, as opposed to seeing it as a job that has to be refilled.
But I guess my point is, like, you've seen comedians lose a step, and those that just keep doing it just to do it.
Yeah, but arguably, they all lose a step.
Yeah.
You can't fight time. You can't. Like, I had a conversation with the guy over at CBS, not off camera, and he's like, I just wish Eddie Murphy, would do another stand-up special. I'm like, yeah, but there's no winning.
He will
that.
never be that 19-year-old that just came out in the red weather that has that energy.
That's right, and
like,
he can still be funny, but there's no way. It's like watching the Stones.
Yeah.
Like after a certain point, and like even Seinfeld, like whatever. I mean, he can refill that, whatever the hell he does.
Yeah.
Because he's, you can sleepwalk through it.
It's its own lane. Yeah.
But there are guys that see it as a job.
Yeah.
And there are guys that see it, and I know it's a job, but I think more like an artist than than a guy who's got a job as an entertainer.
Refill the pail just to do it.
Yeah, because like, why do that? Like, if there's no risk or there's no challenge or there's no sense of like discovery. Like, there are lines in this special that came to me days before, so I keep it fluid. And everybody they punch stuff up or they find, but for me, it doesn't start on the paper. Really, like these things are delivered to me in moments on stage that somehow or another, because of the way I do it, I leave space open for that to happen, for there to be improvisation, and for there to because I'm counting on my punchlines to be delivered from wherever in a moment. And eventually they arrive. Sometimes it takes years for some things. I leave things that open-ended. I wish I was more just a writer guy. But like, if I write something down and you write the punchline and then you perform the joke, it's almost like I just did it. Look, here's a live math equation.
Yeah.
Enjoy. So there were lines, and I think one of the best lines in the special came days before. And it just happened. And then a tag came in that same zone a few days before. I had a tag in there before that. It was okay, but then one just came that like nailed it, and I'm like, okay, well, that's how I work. So it's hard to count on that,
Right?
In a way where it's like, we got to have this thing next week. I'm like, well, okay, well, I guess
Something will come, but it might not be what I like.
Yeah, but when they do, and they usually do, even in a situation like this, that's what makes it kind of exciting. It's and then the process of molding it all. So to answer your question, I don't know, how it ultimately unfolds, in terms of what I'm going to do creatively in the future. It looks like I'm going to have to be in a TV show for as long as they need me to be. But like, I've been playing some music, and I don't look at that as a second profession, or like, it was something I always wanted to have confidence in doing in front of people. And I've been doing shows on and off for the last few years with different musicians, performing at Largo and stuff. And the other last week, I had kind of a breakthrough in that, in being able to kind of be present in my whole self to sing and play with a group of people, and that was very exciting and a kind of major creative breakthrough for me. So I'm still open to all that, but I needed to be, to evolve.
Well, and you're going to have more space for that. I mean, WTF is a time suck. I mean, as someone that does 2 podcasts a week, I actually understand very well the cadence of what you do.
Yeah.
And I'll say this for the record, I've said this to you before. I mean, no podcast, honestly, has been more influential to me. I mean, we have different styles, but like the way you do it, I so admire. Is it sunk in yet that it's over, that it's going to be over? I mean, this is a life change. This is not a career change. This is a life change.
Yeah, it's like it's sunk in the sense that I have to, I've given, Brendan, my producer, and I, Brendan McDonald, we knew it was coming. So we kind of set it up so we can sort of, have the time to process it.
Yeah.
And, what comes next that's a whole other thing. I I have a hard time thinking about. I don't even know what my schedule is for tomorrow right now. I mean, I kind of do, but like I don't. But I have had to think about taking care of myself in light of more than the job going away. It's just what I get out of the conversations with people, and how much of that is part of my kind of social and emotional and psychological life are these conversations, because they are genuine, they are in the moment, and they do they're engaged, candid conversations with people that range from very deep to entertaining to whatever. But it is an ingrained part of my social life. So I have to figure out how am I going to get that, after the podcast.
Right. So you don't hide in the garage from society. You need to actually get
right. So I don't isolate and get too much in my head. Yeah. But there's support systems that I have, and maybe expand my social life a little bit. But there is definitely part of me that is, ready to not be done with the time suck, because that just becomes second nature. But the emotional exhaustion of engaging my day-to-day life in a full-hearted way, and then kind of immersing myself in the people I'm talking to in the way that I do it, as deep as find a portal to find a way to kind of engage in a deep level, that process does deplete you after a certain point. And Brendan is also exhausted because he's also very meticulous and all into his process as an audio producer, and we talk to just about everybody, and ultimately it just comes down to you don't want to kind of have to get to a point where you're autopiloting any of that. For what? We did good and we've done good, and by stopping it you kind of guarantee it is looked at as a body of work, as opposed to this refillable content that people have grown to rely on, and you just kind of sleepwalk through because you can.
One of the remarkable things, and this struck me especially watching this doc, the last nearly 2,000 episodes, these 16 years, they're a chronicle of your life too. You put yourself so much into this show.
Yeah.
If you go back and listen, you hear friendships being formed, friendships being broken apart, you meeting Lynn.
Yeah.
It's kind of an amazing audio diary of your
Well, that was always the show, and that's always the way Brendan saw it. Like, despite the fact that other people saw it as an interview show or whatever, Brendan saw it always as a show about me. And that's, works because that's also the way I interview. So it is that. And the thing that becomes challenging about that is that when you're monologuing twice a week about your life, sometimes not a lot happens between Monday and Thursday. And then there's this idea of like the parts of me that I want to share, what is comedic, what is intense, what is my brain doing? Like, there's some parts of that, if you're not careful, that will stop you from evolving or letting yourself really be who you are, which might be quieter. If you're yammering about you all the time, it's hard to share the quieter spaces or whatever things about me have shifted or changed, because I do get into a level of panic about things and an intensity. But it does get to a point where we've all grown through this together, and now I've landed in this place that I'd like to keep for myself.
Is it, watching that doc, it's honestly emotional for me and an audience, I think, watching and listening to that conversation with Lynn, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
I can only imagine for you, I don't know if you'd listened back to it since then, but I assume you watched the doc, so is that an especially poignant thing to listen to?
What, the one I did after she died?
No, the original. that too, but like even just like hearing like how you met, essentially. I think that was how you met on the 2015 episode, right?
Yeah.
Both obviously are hugely.
Yeah, it's hard. You got to choose to let that in. I can hear it and be like, oh yeah, but like to frame it in what happened or the arc of our relationship. Yeah, it's a lot, but like I can handle it, and yeah, there's a lot in that doc that's kind of uncomfortable for me. But processing grief and then, holding the line on, how much you want to engage with it. You do get a certain amount of control over that. Like if I let myself, I can go into the deeper sadness. But I just live with that. You can't live in that.
Yeah. Over the years, I would imagine. I mean, look, you made the choice repeatedly. I would think over the years never to do video, like some of us have done for the podcast. I would imagine there were so many offers to turn it into a TV show of some sort. Was it tough to? At any point, did you almost go down another road with what WTF was going to be?
By the time the podcast picked up speed, those shows were already sort of contracting.
Yeah, as we know, the late night show was dying.
There was never any major offer to do an interview show.
Yeah.
And because of the nature of the media landscape, it's like, what offer are you going to make me that's going to be better than what I'm already doing?
Yeah, you have full creative control.
It's a good audience, you know. And the video thing is just that it's an audio podcast, and we're audio guys. So it wasn't not meeting the market or blowing anything or they should have done this or that. It's not what the show was.
Yeah.
And I believe that audio is still the most effective kind of mode for intimacy.
Totally.
And there was never ever discussion about going video, even when everyone else was going video. It was not, so you want to set up your own kind of sort of public access looking situation, or put a little money into it and make it look like kind of a well-produced public access situation.
Right.
And you want to sit there on video with big clunky SM7s and headsets. It's like, whatever. It's all just lowering the bar for everything.
Last guest, it's Gallagher's Ghost. It's Jon Stewart's. Is it locked in how you're going to end this show?
No, it's not locked in. I assume it'll be just me.
Really?
Yeah, unless Obama wants to
pop by for a...
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the only guy that could make us have a guest on the last show.
On the acting side, we mentioned Bad Guys too. You've got In Memoriam, which is a leading role.
Yeah.
You've talked a lot on the podcast about the Sharon Stone interaction. I'm excited to see that one.
It's just one of those things where you do this big thing and then the director didn't make the final deadline for the Toronto Festival, and now it's in the can. I've seen the final cut. I think I did all right. I think it's a pretty special movie. But now it's like, well, I'll just wait till next year for Sundance. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just take that out of the front burner area of expectations.
Well, you have the Avatar sequels you're going to do. Obviously, we talked about that last time.
Yeah. That's so funny. That got such attention. Like it's like I will talk shit, and that's one of the fears of not having Brendan McDonald watching my back, at every turn, in terms of saying things publicly. But I thought about that, about just the ridiculousness of meeting Cameron and everything. But some people be like, dude, why are you doing that? It's going to be bad. Bad for what?
What are you trying to get? What do you need? In that realm, you're not. I mean, you're not trying to get that.
Who sees those movies?
So what? Any memorable auditions in the last couple of years since we've spoken?
Well, it seems I've gotten past the.
Now you're offer only, Marc Maron.
Kinda, I kinda am, and I say no to a lot of stuff, because there's I don't know why, but there is just zero, desperation, or literally my manager will send me this script is pretty good. You should really take a look at it. 2 weeks ago by, and he's like, "Do you look at that script?" I'm like, "Oh no, I can't remember. What was that one?" I don't. Clearly, I'm not hungry for it.
You tried to back out of the Springsteen. I just listened to you talk about that one.
That was so funny. That was such a funny moment. It's so stupid.
It's such Scott Cooper.
Look, it's like I can't really explain. I have a dread of almost everything, and I think good managers know this, and they work within it. I'm gonna just say no to almost everything.
Right.
I'm like, where do I gotta drive? It really comes down to how long, where, why,
the commute?
What's the part? That sounds ridiculous. No one's gonna see it. There's this whole barrage of reasons to not do something. You know, but my manager, who's actually in the room right now, you know, he knows all this, and he'll say like, I get it. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then I think like subconsciously he just waits for a slight crack in the wall.
Well, I guess.
And then he's like, I can get in there. Yeah. All right, but you know, the food's pretty good.
Per diem's pretty.
So, but
Yes, Springsteen. But you were saying.
well, I just done that. It was an undertaking. It took a lot for me to believe that I could do a lead and carry a movie. And you know, I did pretty good. I watched the final cut, but
This is
after
In
I
Memoriam,
shot all
right,
that,
that one. Yep. Mm-hmm.
you know, I like Scott Cooper.
Yeah.
We text. I'm in touch with him. I'm a big fan. Oddly, this is the full arc of that story. Like, so I had this little part. It was not a lot of lines, you know, in the movie.
Right.
And I just done a lead in a movie.
Right.
And now I'm supposed to fly to New Jersey to do 5 lines. So now my manager's got to deal with this shit, which is not unusual either. I'm like, this is like any actor could do this.
Right.
This is entry level acting. I just did a lead in an indie that no one's gonna see. You know, so
It's going to be passed
it
by
might
the
not
Toronto
even
Film
make
Festival.
it to theaters, but I did it. You know, so I'm like, you know, fuck this. And the manager's like, you know, it's all right. You know, I'll get you out of it, knowing full well that I would come around somehow. But
Why do we do the stance every time? Why are we doing this stance? You know what's going to happen.
No, because sometimes I really mean no.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
'cause I don't give a shit. But there are things that I'm just fighting for whatever. But I just thought, like, really, it comes from insecurity. Was the diva element was not as large as my insecurity in the sense that, like, because I really felt, because I had one experience doing a movie that I got cut out of. You know, that it was that Michael Keaton movie about the lawyer for post, 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I'm blanking, but I got you. Yeah.
So, well, no one saw it.
Yeah.
So, but somehow or another, they put me in that movie to play this kind of scrappy lawyer.
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't right for the part, and I don't know why or who was doing who a favor or why the fuck
Right.
they wanted me. So I'm sitting in a quarter trailer, that's a closet, in a shitty suit, for the whole day to do a scene that they could have hired a day point. Do the New York actor a favor.
Right.
They're all just waiting for Law and Orders. So give them the movie. You know, like there's a guy that
Get the
looks
guy that's
like
excited
this guy.
for this.
Well,
That's
no,
actually
that is this guy.
Yeah.
It's a character actor part, and I'm like, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you were
with the
like, wait, is that
Springsteen-
Marc Maron in that scene? And then he
well,
went
there
away.
wasn't. It was like, is that Marc Maron on the phone call that they made the scene? Yeah, they
Like,
cut
his shoulder? Yeah.
Right. So with the Deliver Me from Nowhere thing, it's just sort of like, they can cast a guy that's going to inhabit this better, and it's a small part.
Yeah.
And also I was sort of like, there's nothing for me to do with this.
Yeah.
So I tell this to my manager, and he's like, well, we'll get you out of it. And then I'm like, all right, hold on. Let me just think. So I hang up from him, and then I text Cooper. Like, I mean, who the fuck does that? He's a big director. It's like, I know him well enough, but like, I text him. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm just getting back into the script. Doesn't look like there's a lot for me to do here. Am I wrong? Like the director. So he texts back. He goes, no, dude, I get it. It's fine. We'll work together in the future. I just thought it would be fun. And then, like, right when he texts back and I read that, I'm like, all right. No, I'll do it. He didn't ask. He didn't
Quite a
impress it.
negotiation.
Yeah. It wasn't even a negotiation. I just needed attention, I guess.
No, you're right. I'll do it.
But the idea that I thought it would be fun, I never look at things like that. There's no,
It doesn't even occur to you that fun might be a part of the equation. Yeah.
Someone just asked me, was Comic-Con fun? I'm like, what are you talking about? How was, it's something I had
Does
to
not
do.
compute,
Was
yeah.
it flying on the plane with all those people fun? No. It's not that it's not fun,
No.
but it's something, apparently I have to do.
Yeah, they had nuts. It was fine.
I don't even think they had nuts.
I'm sorry.
And then on the way back, after we'd spent the whole day at Comic-Con, they serve us food on the plane on a 30-minute flight, and I'm a vegan. Everyone's getting these little sandwiches. She gives me a salad the size of a piece of luggage with chickpeas and shit. And I'm like, what am I supposed to? Are we serving the whole plane? Who's the caterer that put this together? But it was fun.
The flight and
No,
the movie.
no,
the flight
the
wasn't. The movie
Springsteen.
was. Okay, good.
It was fun because it was because Scott's great, and there's just a funny kind of thing with it all that we shot in the studio where they did Nebraska, where they were trying to do Nebraska.
Right.
So it's the studio they worked in. The guy I'm playing is a real guy. Chuck Plotkin, is that his name? I fucked up his name somewhere. And Jeremy Strong's there.
And Bruce is there.
Well, that's the thing. John Landau is Jeremy Strong, and Jeremy Allen White is Springsteen, and Walter Hauser was there.
Oh, Paul Walter Hauser.
Yeah, Paul Walter Hauser was there because he had a little part, so he's around, trying to get laughs every 3 minutes. He's just there's always one. He's one of those guys on set that's like always going to do try to do the riffing.
Right.
But he's a great guy,
Yeah.
and he is pretty funny. But he's very funny. I like him. I don't want there's no like
The Paul
there's
Walter
no
Hauser
reason for me-
feud. You don't
there's
need new feuds in your life.
No, there's not. He's very nice, and we text, and he's a sweet guy, and he's a great actor, and he's very funny. But the thing is that a couple of things was, well, first, I had to act like I knew how to run a board. I was
Right.
an engineer, a sound engineer, and also Cooper really laid it out to me that there may not be a lot of lines here, but he's pivotal to the story.
Right.
He's the guy that figures out how to solve this problem. And I'm like, okay, that's good. But I had to figure out how to, work the board, and I talked to the guy who worked at the studio, one of the engineers, and we kind of nailed that. And then I tell Cooper, I'm like, hey man, there's not a lot of footage on this guy. He's a real guy.
Right.
So I don't know what you want me to do with that. I don't have a source to do him.
Yeah.
He goes, don't worry about it. I'm like, really? Okay, I'll just get the knobs going. And we do the first scene, and that's like Bruce and John Landau, the real Bruce and the real John Landau, are in Video Village the whole fucking time. And, I know Bruce because I went to his house.
Yeah.
And he remembers me because I make an impression sometimes. But it gave me a shorthand with him, like
Yeah.
there's familiarity. So that was kind of interesting. After every, cut, he could be like, I'm going to go hang out with Bruce. And it gave me a new appreciation for Landau, like in terms of like the shit he gets for working the way he gets. He did something kind of amazing on set that really is a testament to the work of a real actor in terms of the pursuit of truth part about it. But nonetheless, so I do my first speaking point with the knobs, and I have us talking, and I was like, Bruce is out there, and I'm like, I got no idea who this guy is. So I do the knobs and I do the talking and cut, and I go out, and right when I walk in the Video Village, Bruce goes, "You're him! You're Chuck!" And I'm like, well, that's coincidental. I didn't let on, but I'm like, okie dokie.
I've been working those knobs for 6 months, Bruce. You didn't know. I've been training.
Yeah, but like he bought the personality of it, which,
That's awesome.
whatever.
Yeah.
I just figured he's kind of a nerd. He's working for Bruce. He's got a specific job. He's not going to be bombastic.
Yeah.
But Jeremy was kind of interesting, it was just a really interesting thing because he's in it.
Yeah.
He does the thing where he's like locked into John Landau.
Yeah.
And it was good for him to have Landau out there to ask questions. But he'll talk to you as Jeremy, but just in Landau's body.
Got it.
It's almost like, Jeremy's inside Landau's body and he can access Jeremy to have a conversation,
Okay. Yeah. It's like DDL as Lincoln, but still ordering the Starbucks as Lincoln.
Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, he'll talk to you, but it'll be Landau. But
Right.
but he'll talk. He'll speak as Jeremy. But he did this. He had this moment in the room that was kind of interesting. He's always thinking, and he's in it, and he's really in it, and he's really in it. And this process of trying to solve this problem in the studio was an ongoing process for a long time. And at some point, he's always kind of like, should I do? Talking to Scott, hey, I think I should be over here. He's very engaged with the reality of it. And at some point, he just goes, hey, wait, wouldn't there be empty food containers around? They've been in here a long time, like food takeout. Wouldn't there be food containers?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, are we ever gonna get through this take? But Scott servicing the actor, is sort of like, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Just indulging him. And I wasn't frustrated with it, but I was like, all right, okay, so you're gonna deal with this. But the truth of the matter is, they went and asked, Jeremy Strong goes, he cuts, and we're all in Video Village. Jeremy's like, wouldn't you guys have
Right.
food containers around? And Bruce is like, oh yeah, for sure. And then Jeremy's like, well, what would you guys be eating? And he's like, wait, roast chicken and sweet potatoes. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty specific, right? So then there's that moment. It's like, all right, so Jeremy's right.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this, and all I could think is like some PA is being dispatched.
Googling
you just
roast
find
chicken.
the sweet potatoes. It can't. You just roast
Not
chicken or
mashed.
sweet potatoes.
Sweet.
No, he's got to find. So that guy's running around New York, calling different places on his phone for sweet potatoes. But the reality of the frame, was changed because of it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, set deck. I don't know if you've been on movie sets.
Sure.
A lot of times you get to a set, and it's just loaded up with shit. You know, there are pencils, there are, you know, like all this stuff in containers.
Too much. Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't read as anything other than that looks lived in. But
Yes.
when you're sitting there, it's like, why is this snow globe here and a sandwich? You
There's
know,
a
and it's
story
just-
to the snow globe.
But there's not. It's just set deck.
Yeah.
Dude. And
We're all just trying to justify our jobs, our existence, Mark.
but I think you know, it's when it's specific, you know, like I think that the food containers changed his sense of and deepened the reality of the environment. I think probably on screen, and for Jeremy to you know, find the truth in this character.
Yeah. I'm going to look for the
And I was just sitting there like,
I'll be looking for that and the sweet potatoes in
Yeah.
the scene. A couple quick things. So going forward, acting-wise, I caught up with Bob Odenkirk over at Comic-Con. When's your action movie franchise? I feel like that's your next thing.
yeah.
Just like, I mean, you're ripped. We know that.
Yeah, I'd probably be a better like, you know, sidekick to the action guy.
Don't diminish.
Yeah.
Broadway, is that of interest? Is theater?
I thought it was, but it's a lot of time, man. You
Yeah.
know, you got to workshop this and that. Like, I mean, look, you know, maybe that becomes more possible if anybody has the desire to have me do that without the podcast. And, you know, within the schedule I've been working on for the last 15, 16 years, I think Broadway would have been a stretch.
Oh,
because
yeah.
no matter what movie I did or where I was in the world, we were delivering 2 new shows a week, and I was recording either interviews or intros in hotel rooms and what. Like, there was a way that Brendan and I were able to work around things because the podcast was the priority. That was the primary gig, and that took precedence over anything else. So what I'm available for, what interests me in terms of being able to take the time, if I can separate from my cats long enough to do something like that. There was sort of this idea of, because look, I'm not a star at the level those guys are. You know, like, you know, you're going to have a bunch of guys, you know, Burr's going to do, you know, Glengarry, whatever.
I totally could
You know,
have seen you in that ensemble, though.
there's
That
no
makes
reason
sense.
that you couldn't see me in it, but no one's going to look to me to generate ticket sales for that.
Okay. All right.
You know, maybe I'm talking out of insecurity, but like I kind of know from experience that no one's like, this guy's a guaranteed moneymaker.
Right.
Let's make him the lead of this, or put him in the ensemble. You know, like I don't know if that's insecurity or reality, but
Insecurity. I'll
but
call it, yeah.
so, well, maybe we'll see. I mean, you know, Stick is like one of the reasons I did it was to heighten visibility on some level,
Yeah.
and you know, and show up in a way that I haven't before. But the time it takes to, like, I think there was a moment there where I was like, you know, offered a new play, but you know, it's like, we're going to workshop it in Chicago for 4 weeks, and I'm like,
That's a long haul.
and then like to
Yeah.
do the memorization thing and all that shit. I mean, you got to really lock into that. You can't have too many distractions with that.
You and your buddy Tracy Letts. You could-
Oh, I'd love to do. I'll do anything with Tracy.
All right, we're gonna-
I wish I could work with Tracy. I'd be in one of his plays.
Jeez.
I'd like to act with him. He's a very funny actor too.
He's the best.
God, that scene in the fucking.
Oh, Ford
Oh yeah, in the Corvette. I mean, come on, come on.
We're gonna end with this. Happy, sad, confused, profoundly random questions. I know the answers to a few of these, but indulge me. Dogs or cats?
Cats. I have cats. I don't have anything against dogs, but they're just too needy for me.
What do you collect? I think I know some of these too. What are the main things you collect?
Lately,
Yeah, or whenever.
well, I seem to be like I don't think in terms of collecting. I think in terms of having. So like I'm not, you know, like if I get obsessed with a band or something like that, you know, I'll buy all their records or whatever. I think that over the years lately, I've amassed a lot of records. I amass things. I don't collect too many things. Like I think if there's one thing I collect, it seems to be Ganesha statues. But in terms of like getting things, hopefully for free or through barter, I've amassed a lot of records. I have more guitars than I need, but I don't buy them that often. I try to get them for free and then play them. But there's a lot of things that are on their way out. But as far as consciously buying things that I seem to collect but not amass, it seems to be Ganesha statues of one shape, of one size or another.
I feel like clothing. Sometimes you talk a little bit about different like.
But those aren't collections.
I
I'm
guess not.
obsessed with a few boots.
Right.
Like there's definitely things I wear over and over again. There's things I commit to and have a certain amount of them, but it's not like I have 90 pairs of boots.
Okay, good, fair enough. You don't strike me as a video game guy, but do you have a favorite video game of all time? Anything you ever played?
No. What, modern?
No, I mean, literally, childhood could be Pac-Man. I don't know, anything.
No, I was never a Pac-Man guy. You know, we were pretty into Space Invaders at the bowling alley when it first came out.
There you go.
And Asteroids. But I never like nerded into them enough to know how to turn over the system. You know, there were those guys that figured out, exactly how you could go through all the levels. Galaga, I used to play in college at the sub place across from where I lived. I liked Galaga. Is that how you say it? Galaga.
I do go Galaga, but Galaga sounds like the European, classier
that's
version.
the Russian version. Galaga. I only played the Russian machine. The guys who owned the sub shop were Ukrainian, I think.
Dakota Johnson asked me this. I ask everybody.
Can you ask her
Yeah.
if she would, marry me?
You have a significant other.
I know, but this is fantasy.
fantasy.
land.
Do you like
Yeah,
Dakota? You're a fan?
Huh?
You're a fan of her work?
I love her.
She's great.
I talked to her dad, but
Yeah,
it wasn't
that was a good
appropriate
one.
for me to hey,
No.
could I get the number?
I could make this magic happen for you. I can connect
Anne
you guys.
Hathaway and Dakota Johnson.
Those are yours? Okay.
But Hathaway's married, and
Yeah.
and I have somebody, but for Dakota, I'd rethink a lot of things. Maybe there's too big an age gap. It doesn't necessarily
Make
stop
it
me.
work.
Yeah.
It's okay. She asked me this. Let's see if your crush remains after you hear this question. Would you rather have a mouthful of bees or one bee in your butt?
What? One bee in your butt?
Yeah.
Who the fuck wants a mouthful of bees?
Yeah,
That
no.
sounds like a disaster.
Yeah, no, I agree. What's the wallpaper on your phone?
I don't know.
Do you have a phone? Yes, you do.
I think it's just a regular. Yeah, it's just.
You got just like space, just like black?
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
get
okay.
too deep into this.
Okay, fair enough.
I have a dead cat on my computer though.
Oh, you one of yours, I hope, not just somebody
Yeah,
else's.
it was one of mine. Yeah.
Okay, good. Last actor you were mistaken for?
Who do I get?
You ever signed someone else's autograph being presented?
No. A lot of people aren't sure who I am. People used to think I look like Spielberg a lot. Occasionally, if I'm pretty shaved, there's a Robert Downey thing, but
Oh.
I don't get mistaken for too many people. I think oddly, I think I'm like Bono's starting to look a little like me.
Bono's looking like you, or you're looking like Bono?
No, I think he's looking like me because he looked different when he was younger, but now older.
He,
his
had
jaws
Robin,
are
he
a
was
little more
Robin
prominent.
Williams younger. That was
Yeah,
the biopic that
yeah,
never
yeah,
happened. Yeah. Worst note a director has ever given you?
I don't know, man. I don't really remember that stuff.
Anything particularly unhelpful that you hate hearing?
It'll be okay.
Because it won't.
I think it's helpful, but I know that it's sort of like, all right, well, that's as good as you're going to do.
And in the spirit of happy, sad, confused, an actor who always makes you happy, you see them on screen, you're instantly happier.
George Clooney.
Yeah. Movie that makes you sad?
Oh, so many of them make me sad. These are always hard questions
I
for
know.
me because a movie that makes me sad, like a classic.
It
I
could
don't
be
know.
anything.
Name some sad movies.
In terms of endearment, Cinema Paradiso, I don't know, It's a Wonderful Life.
Black Mirrors make me sad.
Yeah,
That's the most recent ones.
that works. And a food that makes you confused, Mark. You don't get it. Why do people eat that?
Oh, I'm not big on tripe.
Controversial statement. But
Because I can I've been plant-based for a couple of years, but
Yeah.
it's just even the way it looks like in pho or in pho
Yeah.
when you get the soup and they're like, you want all of it, the weird Vietnamese meatballs and the tripe and the brisket that's just slabs of fat. Do you want the whole thing? The tripe, I'll eat the other stuff, but the tripe is sort of like, oh, I can see it's just little rings of intestines.
yeah, squiggly little, yeah. No.
But I understand the texture thing, but it's still like, is it necessary? There's no flavor to it. Even calamari, it's like, what is the Yeah, but like the best to call Mark can be like, oh, this is like fresh because it's softer than it usually is.
Sometimes check texture is enough. Sometimes that's...
No, I agree, but it's also like giant clam and sushi. There's something about that texture.
Yeah.
The kind of crunchy, chewy, like, I don't know.
Not for me.
We're going to go watch Avatar and eat some tripe, Mark and I now.
Oh, boy.
Congratulations on many fronts. Let's run it down. The Bad Guys 2, Panicked, most importantly on HBO Max. I'm sure any HBO that exists in the world. Check it out. Are We Good, hopefully in the next few months.
October, maybe, yeah.
Amazing. And look, a personal level, as I said before, WTF, so important to me, so important to so many others. Enjoy the last lap of it, and thank you for everything you've contributed, Mark.
Thanks, buddy. Good talking to you.
Good to see you.
And so ends another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Remember to review, rate, and subscribe to this show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm a big podcast person. I'm Daisy Ridley, and I definitely wasn't pressured to do this by Josh.